Reciprocal reflexive verbs in Spanish is the English version of verbs that reciprocate subjects that involve two or more people, as in each other or one another. While reflexive verbs express a verb that is followed by a preposition, reciprocal reflexives always tend to have two or more subjects. When you think about it in both English and Spanish, we refer to each other whenever we speak of two or more subjects. So we logically don't need the singular pronouns, and so we only have to work with the plural pronouns. Reciprocal reflexives in Spanish express an action that's reciprocated between two or more people, and they work similarly to regular reflexives. The way that reciprocal reflexives work is by using indirect object pronouns, but in this context, we only need the plural ones like nos and se, which are the most used ones in Spanish. The way that you would use it in Spanish is by having a verb that can be used with one another, like ayudarse, which is a common verb used for this context, meaning to help each other. Since we're only working with pronouns like nos and se, every example in the video will utilize the we and they pronouns. If I were to use this verb and say something like nosotros ayudamos, the meaning would be we help. However, if we want to reciprocate the action, we would say nos ayudamos, meaning we help each other. And it doesn't get any more difficult than this. The same concept can be applied to se when we know who the subjects are. Using the verb abrazarse, meaning to hug each other, I can say ellos abrazan, meaning they hug, but saying ellos se abrazan means they hug each other. Just like regular reflexive verbs, reciprocal reflexives can function like any other verb, both in the present progressive and the past simple. Saying a sentence like estamos escuchando means we are listening, but nos estamos escuchando means we are listening to each other. Likewise, I can say John y yo conocimos, which means John and I knew, but saying John y yo nos conocimos means John and I knew each other. Even though the topic of reciprocal reflexives isn't that well known, it does have a useful application in many sentences, and some of the most useful reciprocal reflexives are saludarse, encontrarse, and verse. The biggest tip that I can give to remember reciprocal reflexives is that whenever you see se after a verb, it always means that the verb has a preposition or a continuation after it. In this case, saludarse, encontrarse, and verse all have their definitions, but they gain a different definition once se is inside the verb. If you really want to, you can technically use any verb in Spanish and make it reciprocal as long as the context makes sense with the inclusion of two or more people. For instance, saying a sentence like los amigos saludaron means the friends greeted, but if you were to say los amigos se saludaron, this would mean the friends greeted each other. Similarly, you can use two verbs in one sentence like nos encontramos en el cine cuando nos vimos, meaning we encountered each other in the cinema when we saw each other. And in this context, we know that encontramos is in the past because vimos is in the past form too. And as always, it's up to you to say any sentence that you want using reciprocal reflexives in Spanish. This has been Reciprocal Reflexive Verbs in Spanish. Thank you for watching this video, and hopefully I made your learning just a bit simpler.